Hi, Duluth moms. Thanks for joining us again for Bloom this year. I know the virtual setup is a little bit different than what we may be used to, and some of you may be a little bit video chatted, zoomed out, but we still are committed to bringing you helpful and valuable information to help ease your motherhood journeys a little bit. Today, I have a panel expert with me, Brenda, who is a dietitian at St. Luke's, and I will bring her on the screen and let her introduce herself. We'll be talking about all things baby and mama nutrition. Hi, Brenda.
Hi, Andrea. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Andrea said I'm a registered dietitian at St. Luke's. I see both patients in the hospital and in the clinic setting, and I see a variety of pediatric patients for many different feeding issues. And then I am a mom of 2 little ones as well.
So. I got a chance to meet them at the Easter Bunny visits. Yeah, that was so fun. Awesome. So I guess I didn't even think about dietitians helping with feeding issues with children. I always think of the lactation consultants or any type of breastfeeding support. But do you want to talk about how you are able to work with moms feeding issues?
Sure. Well, there can be a variety of feeding issues. So yes, normally it starts with that lactation consultant, kind of trying to figure out if there are any issues with latch or things like that. Sometimes a speech language pathologist can get involved as well, to kind of better analyze their suck and their swallow ability. But then when they get a little bit older, if there are like picky eating issues related to either tastes or textures, oftentimes I get a lot of referrals for kiddos kind of just picky eating as well. And then oftentimes we'll also work with occupational therapy too, if a kid has really kind of sensitive issues for different textures or flavors, they can help assist with that as well.
Neat. I didn't even think about that component. I really like, you've already mentioned multiple different providers and services, and I really like that you guys all work as a team to treat the patient. So if a mom wants to see you or wants her child to see you, how does that process start?
Sure. So you do need a physician referral to see a dietitian. So you can call us directly, and we can then call your physician office and discuss what that referral might look like, or bringing it up with your physician. So whether that's your OB during your pregnancy, common issues that we see during pregnancy, of course, is gestational diabetes or like pregnancy-induced hypertension. We see patients for that frequently, and we get a lot of referrals from the OB docs on that side. And then once your baby is born, if you do have any concerns, of course, talking with your pediatrician or just family practice doc, and they can get that referral sent over to us.
Great. I know I was a gestational hypertension mom myself, but mine didn't set until 36 and a half weeks. So I didn't need to see a dietitian. I just needed to rest at that point, but I'm glad that those services are there if I needed them.
Yeah,
that's great. You mentioned having picky eaters and kids that are picky with textures and food. What does it look like to maybe wean a baby off of breast milk or formula and get them to eating solid foods? May that be through baby food or through the whole food. And I guess there's a lot of information in the social media and news world right now about the safety of baby food. So if you could touch on that, that'd be great.
Sure. Well, that is a big topic. So first I'll address kind of the baby food news, because it was earlier this year, a congressional report came out talking about the levels of heavy metals in baby food. So things like arsenic, lead, and mercury. They found those heavy metals at higher levels than what we anticipated were in baby food, kind of prior to that. Good news is there was a Baby Food Safety Act that was just introduced in Congress. Actually, Amy Klobuchar, our senator, was one of the authors on that bill. And what that aims to do is it's going to set maximum levels for heavy metals throughout all baby food, because there were some limits prior to, but it wasn't across the board. And that's so now we're going to have those limits set in place. There's going to be routine testing. And manufacturers will have to share their results. But then I think the most important part of that bill is that they're going to authorize money specifically for research on agricultural methods to reduce those toxins that are in our crops. Because both the kind of the good news and the bad news is this is not an issue specific to baby food. Unfortunately, these heavy metals are in our soil, they're in our water supply, so it's in just crops in general. So I hear a lot of panic from moms that say, oh, I have to make all of my own baby food now and I can only buy organic. And unfortunately, organic isn't necessarily better when it comes to this heavy metal issue, because it's in organic soil and organic water, the same as it is conventionally grown produce. So that doesn't mean that you have to throw out all your baby food and you can't make purees or things like that. The number one takeaway message from this is making sure that there's a lot of variety in baby's diet. So there are some things that we know contain higher levels of those heavy metals. Rice is one of them. Rice is grown in water, and water holds on to arsenic for quite a long time. And this is something that we've known for a while. So when I'm working with patients who have like a celiac disease, so they can't have gluten or wheat, so they tend to have rice a lot, rice flour, or people that have dairy allergies that drink like rice milk or rice yogurt. We always caution, limiting servings of rice. So it's not something that you're having every single day. Some of the other things that are high in heavy metals are especially like the root vegetables. So things like potatoes, carrots, sweet potatoes, things like that, because they're really kind of soaking it up from the soil. But again, that doesn't mean that you can't give your baby those foods. Those are nutritious foods, and we want you to give your baby those foods. But it's just making sure that you're getting a good variety of different vegetables. So if they had carrot in the morning, then let's have some green, soft cooked broccoli in the evening. So you're not giving them just root vegetables or just rice.
Yeah, that's always the challenge, is you almost feel like you need a food diary for your kid even to remember between all the sleepless nights and everything that happens during a day to remember what you gave them day by day.
Sometimes that's beneficial.
Yeah.
One way that I like to do it is we actually have a chart in our house too that's like the rainbow. Like, did you eat the rainbow colors today? So, did you eat something orange? Did you eat something green? And then that'll help kind of, break up the different vegetable groups where you're not so focused on, okay, was this a root vegetable and was it this, and so on and so forth. The colors are an easy way to kind of break that down to make sure you're getting a good variety. But then you were talking about kind of, so how do we start this process, like from breast milk or formula onto baby food? And every baby is different. That's what's been fun. So professionally, before I had babies, I definitely knew this textbook answer. And now I have two that were completely different eaters. So it's been fun. And that's something about working with kids too, is it's both easy and hard, that there's no like right way to do things. Right. So I think normally what we look for is we want to make sure that a baby can sit up, they can hold their head up, they can kind of move their head side to side, they can stick their tongue out. And those are the kind of the safety physical aspects that we look for introducing any type of solids. So there's not really a strict age that you should begin introducing solids. It's when your baby can do those things physically. Sometimes that's around 6 months. Sometimes it may be a little earlier. Sometimes it might not even be until like 8 or 9 months down the road. And there's no right way to do it. So yes, some people start with purees. Some people start with that, like the baby-led weaning. It's a really big trend right now. So what that means is they kind of just skip over purees and give your baby soft foods that everybody at the table is already eating. So yeah, personally, my first loved purees, my second refused them. So we ended up definitely doing kind of a baby-led weaning with my second one, not necessarily intentional, but she just refused them. So, and from a personal aspect, it is easy. I think it kind of takes the stress out of it because you give your baby like the formula or breast milk before a meal to make sure that they're getting the nutrients that they need. Because remember, food up until age 1 is just for fun. So they're learning and exploring different textures. So you give them that formula or breast milk before a meal, make sure their tummy's full with those good nutrients, and then just giving them the soft foods that your family is eating. You don't have to worry about preparing something special.
Yeah, that's great. And also another thing that I keep remembering to keep the stress off of me, even though my daughter's 5.5, is that your variety and your meals change and outside information changes, but your child also changes. So my daughter from day one has been a great eater. She would try literally anything. My husband's Korean, so she would eat all of his different sauces and styles, and she's loved veggies and she loves to pick them out at the store. But all of a sudden now at 5.5, she knows what she likes and what she doesn't like, and where she can find certain foods. And it's helpful to keep in mind that just like adults, like they're a human and we have things we crave. We have things that just sound good on a certain day. So I guess I've really leaned into just letting her kind of lead and guide too, but then being there, to set the boundaries and to make sure all the nutrients are going in.
Right. And that's exactly what we should be doing. So parents are supposed to be responsible for providing a balanced meal, making sure that there are those healthy foods, fruits and vegetables available at all times. But kids should be able to pick what they want to eat, and kind of how much of it at that meal. Because sometimes we're just not in the mood for a vegetable and we might want the cookie that we know is on the table and coming. And there are other times that we do really want fruits and vegetables, and kids are exactly the same way. So making sure that you just have that exposure over and over again is important.
Yeah. And I'm fortunate that I don't have any food allergies to work around right now, but what are some of the top allergens to look out for? What are some maybe symptoms? I think they just added sesame to some of the top 9 as well, and that's something we have in our Asian-based meals a lot right now. But
so there are so now there are 9 because sesame just got added. 9 top allergens. For little kids that are having, like really babies that are having GI issues or signs of allergies, we often look to dairy and soy first. Those are the top 2. And yes, allergies can be extremely difficult to work through. I want to preface making sure to talk to your physician about that as well. Going through getting some allergy testing done if there are concerns about an allergy. I see a lot of parents that, their baby is fussy or maybe having gas, and then they eliminate an entire food group without knowing if that's really the cause of it or not. And one thing that we know is the more that you expose your child and the earlier you expose your child to some of those major allergens, it actually prevents allergies down the road. So I caution parents when they just decide we're going to go dairy-free because my baby's gassy. Well, let's figure out if it really is the dairy first. And then if it is the dairy, that's often when the physician will send referrals to dietitians to kind of help meal plan, figure out what substitutes will work, and give some ideas for parents that way.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. I've never thought about that aspect either of having someone help a family who needs to be more concerned with allergies to meal plan.
Yeah.
That if I had to deal with allergies, that would be really comforting for me to know that I wasn't alone in that journey, that I had a professional that could help. Yeah, with that. Great. We touched on a lot of nutrition and feeding for children. How about for mama? Like when they're pregnant, when they need to keep their milk supply up, when they're trying to lose their baby weight. What do you have for tips and advice for moms on that journey?
So for mom, we always hear that you're eating for two, and kind of want to dispel that myth so much. Unfortunately, during our first trimester, you don't get any additional calories. The second trimester is about 300 to 400. And then that final third trimester is about 400 to 450 extra calories per day that you get. So that can be something as small as, a cookie or a bag of chips. Ideally, it would be something a little bit more healthy, some extra fruits and vegetables, some whole grains thrown in there, but it's not an entire extra meal, or, we're not doubling what you're eating during pregnancy. And then actually during breastfeeding, you get an extra 500 calories per day if you're breastfeeding. So breastfeeding is a bigger demand on our body than pregnancy is. So being, a new mom, sometimes when they have their baby, they kind of want to drop that baby weight, but we want to be mindful that you're probably going to be hungry, you're probably going to be really thirsty, and you want to make sure that you're nourishing your body correctly, especially that however long you're breastfeeding. But if you're exclusively breastfeeding kind of up until a year after, there are signs of that your body's still changing postpartum a year after. So really making sure that you're focusing on that nutrition and keeping up your nutrition and hydration during that time is really important.
Yeah, the hydration is a huge piece to it too. And I know just a tip, it's in the middle of the night when you are so tired and your hormones are crazy, and that's usually the time that I'm the weakest and I want a snack. Or when I was breastfeeding, that was the time. And having like quick and easy, well-rounded snacks, even out on the counter or like cut up in the fridge already for that, 3:27 a.m. feeding when you feel hungry, to grab instead of going for the chocolate or.
Absolutely. So that's something I talk to new moms about, is like, if you're awake in the middle of the night, it's absolutely appropriate to have a snack. Our bodies, we should eat about every 4 hours. So if you're up in the middle of the night, have a snack. And yes, we have a couple like handouts on those snack ideas to have. So having cut up like fruit and veggies, having, like made up tuna salad or hard boiled eggs, or trail mix that has some nuts in it. So you're getting some fats and proteins in that way. So you have those things just ready and accessible, I think, is the most important thing, right? So you're not reaching for the chocolate or the bacon, which is okay every once in a while. Making sure you have those other things there too.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that covers all of the questions that I have. Do you have any other information that you would like to share?
Good. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have concerns, talking to either your OBGYN or your pediatrician, and they can get you in touch with us as well. Listening to that mama gut is important. And then, so bringing up those concerns or changes that you may see, but then kind of backing it up with, that evidence-based practice from physicians or dietitians.
Yeah, great. Thanks. And I will put the phone number and any information in the description on this video for Brenda. So all of you moms will have that. Brenda's not able to do a personal breakout room with us tonight. So if you do have any questions, just leave them in the comments and we'll try to get them answered the best that we can. It might take a couple days if we need to play some email tag or phone tag to get the answers, but feel free to still ask questions under this video.
Absolutely. Yep. I'll circle back and what Andrea said, a day or two, get those answered for you.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you so much, Brenda, for being here, for all the information that you shared.
Sounds good. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.